like what the spray
Yeah.
patterns difference. You've got basically 4 different spray patterns. You have what we would call a solid stream, which basically out of a can is going to be a pencil-sized stream, maybe about as big around as your fist by the time it got out to a target at whatever distance that was, whether it be 8 feet, 9 feet, 10 feet. You have then what we call a modified cone. And a modified cone is very similar to a solid stream, except that it has a slight variation. It has some separation. You're going to have about a 2 to 3 foot dispersal pattern at range, which means the maximum range of the spray, whether it be 10 feet, 12 feet, 15 feet, 20 feet, you're going to have a very concentrated, focused mist of that pepper spray.
Okay, so I'm a jogger. What one would you recommend?
Well, there's a couple of the types we should probably talk about, because we're going to get into a little bit about what you want to use the product for, all right, and how you want to use that product. From here, you've now got a cone spray, and a cone spray is a very wide cone pattern. You can see that as we go up the scale here, these patterns get a lot wider. All right, so now I can affect a greater area with less accuracy. I don't have to be as pinpoint. That's what you get with the solid stream. You've got to be pinpoint accurate. Just like if you're aiming at a bullseye, you need to hit that spot right in the middle for it to be effective, that being the face. All right, here I don't need to be as accurate. I can be a little bit more off to one side. The more I get up to the cone shapes, the less accurate I can be, the more area I'm going to cover. The downside is also requires a lot more product, okay, or pepper spray to affect this area to get the same effect that you're going to get here, because you're not as concentrated. Then the last one is what we call a fog, and a fog is just that. It creates a huge mass of fog of pepper spray. Okay, very atomized mist, very fine, very effective against animals. Basically because when an animal gets a look at you and he's going to attack you, what they're looking for, if they see anything coming at them, they're going to duck, dodge, move. You've got to get it right in the face of them. They've got to inhale it, it's got to get in the mouth, the eyes, the nose for it to be effective. By using a fogger pattern, that mist remains in the air, and when the animal comes down in contact with that, you've got a much greater chance of hitting the animal where it counts. All right, in other words, getting that animal to back off. Now there is a downside. There's some really good benefits to a solid stream, but there's some downsides to it. And the same thing with a fog. We can talk about the solid stream first, and what you're going to find that you discover with a solid stream is there's very little chance of self-contamination, unless you've got a 60-mile-an-hour headwind coming back into you after you use it. With the fog and the atomized mist, you've got a very small particulate, very susceptible to wind, okay, and there's a very good chance you can get some self-contamination. So some things to be concerned of. The more atomized the mist gets, the more aware you need to be of what that product's going to do.